I saw this, printed out that the owners boycotted Wednesday's meeting. That word probably shouldn't have been used. Basically, each team made their own decision not to go. We talked about it the night before. So we hold owners meetings the day before we have our meeting with NASCAR to kind of group together our thoughts and kind of talk about the things that NASCAR has listed as their subjects that we're going to speak upon for the meeting. So we kind of regroup, and for us, it's also a time where the TNC, which is also known as the negotiating committee, which is made up of Dave Alpern from Joe Gibbs Racing, Curtis Polk from 2311 Racing. You have Steve Newmark from RFK, and you have Jeff Gordon from Hendrick Motorsports. So there have been the main four that have been speaking with O'Donnell and Steve Phelps and Scott Prime and all these NASCAR executives who have been heading up the negotiations from the NASCAR side. So they kind of give us an update, and I feel like I probably 2-3 episodes ago I was like, hey, I feel pretty optimistic about where we're heading, where we're going, and then come to find out, it sounds like from the debrief I got from them was that we're not. I don't even know if there was a deal. I think that there was kind of a deal, and then maybe they thought we were going to get close, and they pulled the rug out a little bit and says, well, it's contingent upon these things that are not realistic. So that was certainly disappointing for sure to hear from the negotiating committee that we're not getting closer. If anything, we are certainly further apart than we were just a few months ago. And as the team owners, we feel like time is running out. Our charters, I believe, so the charters are up at the end of this year, I believe. So it is not directly linked. The charter agreement is not directly linked to the TV deal. So they can be done at different times. And what we could be in a situation of, the reason why I think that we are pushing to get this done quicker is that we don't want to, the further NASCAR pushes us back to our timeline of our charters, the less time we have to get a deal done, right? Or if we don't get a deal done, then we could be racing all next year with lame duck charters that we're obligated to race, but we would lose them the following year. So it's just, I don't know all the language, but I know the negotiating committee does, and they have a reason for having the timeline that they have. I trust in them. They've been great, doing a great job for us. But ultimately, I think that they feel like they've gone as far as they can go with the group that they've met with. And ultimately, if Jim and or Lisa have pushed back on the necessities for us, which is permanent charters, they want to hear directly from them why. And if they want to give us an explanation, that's totally okay. But they need to hear from us directly why it is important for us to have permanent charters.
So was this boycott, for
don't say that
better
word
or less, was it a message to NASCAR? Were you trying
to
send
absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I mean,
you're saying don't use that word though, but y'all skipped the meeting, right?
Yes. Yeah. But everyone had the choice to attend it if they wanted to.
So
like when we left the call, we just said, we didn't say, hey, we're not doing it, no one else do it. We just said,
so
we deem that this is not going to be productive, and let's just we have to have an action item list of things that we need to do in a certain amount of time, and answers we need to have from NASCAR in a certain amount of time. And this meeting is just going to deter us from those timelines.
So every owner came to that conclusion individually?
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like y'all are on the same page.
Yeah, we have been on the same page. That's what's so interesting is you've got 36 teams, and they all feel aligned on the same thing. And we just can't get, NASCAR family to give us a good reason why we shouldn't get permanent charters. And those who don't know, the reason permanent charters are important to me, Denny Hamlin, is I've spent tens of millions of dollars on charters. and to tell me that I can just get it taken away. Listen, as we know, NASCAR is not afraid to try to put their thumb on me, right? And taking my charter, that's not a good thing for anyone. All these franchises are worth nothing if the charters in which what you have to race, if you don't have it permanently. No one from the outside will ever invest in this sport unless it's permanent. Because, if you have, let's just say Mark Cuban wanted to invest in NASCAR, he would say this. So let me get this straight. I got to spend tens of millions on a franchise that can be taken away from me at any moment? Well, that's just stupid. I'm out. It's a non-starter. So, again, as the teams, we realize the chances of us making money year to year is very slim. So the only way NASCAR can give us some value back for all this time and what we're doing is to at least give us some franchise value that costs them nothing. To say yes, your charters are permanent, it costs them $0.0.
Last thing on this topic is that if you skip last week's meeting, doesn't that just push your negotiations down the road a week? Like, aren't you going to come back to this? How often?
No, because there was not going to be any talk about. We weren't going to go negotiate with all 36 charters there. This was just a normal quarterly update
Gotcha.
Hey, here's our ratings. Here's how many tickets we're selling, and here's the positive this. Here's the positive that. It's just a little more of a song and dance. I know that Curtis, when he first started attending some of these team owner meetings, he's like, well, what did we really talk about of substance? Like, this is just kind of a lecturing of how well we're doing, and we're working collectively with you guys on X, Y, and Z. Yeah, I get it. They certainly, in the other sports, what they're doing when they have owner meetings with the league, it's talking about how are they going to grow revenue together? How can they work better together? How can they sell sponsorships together? What collectively rules do they feel like that they should change to grow the sport or make it better? Like, there's a lot of things that they're doing, but a lot of kind of the issues we have, like, for instance, we had a one of those team owner quarterly meetings. I think it was last year, and then the next day they announced the Garage 56 project, and it was like, did you not think it was important while all the owners were in the room yesterday to tell us about this huge news that you're partnering with one of the race teams to do this program? Like, that is just lack of transparency and lack of respect for the people that put on your show for you every week. That was just the absolute head scratcher that it made so many teams mad, so many manufacturers mad, that it was just bad. It was just bad. You just can't. That's important information and that needs to be shared, but they wanted to keep it hidden until it actually came out, which, I mean, man, it's we just need to be a little more productive when it comes to that.
Gotcha. Colleague appeals. We had that last week as well, which same penalty as Hendrick Motorsports, more or less. Not the same result.
From what we know, I mean, what we don't know is, like, who supplied the louvers to who, right? I mean, there's so many unknowns, and I think that there's certainly not a whole lot of transparency from this case. Hopefully going forward, it looks like NASCAR made some rules adjustments during last week that will maybe create more transparency with parts and pieces, and maybe it would create more transparency from the panel. I think the panel has got needs to be more transparent as much as anyone.
On why they make decisions.
On why you make decisions. I mean, when they come to mind, and literally you have the administrator read off in a matter of 10 seconds what the verdict was, so quickly, I thought she was just reading off, the whole 30-minute dog and pony show of today, blah, 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 it's this, it's that, and then everyone starts standing up and you're like, I don't even understand what happened. What was the verdict and why was the verdict? And it was just, you need more transparency, especially, I think that you need transparency because it's proving now that the panel is being as inconsistent as anyone, and they are ruling in favor of one organization differently than they're ruling for others. I mean, we can make assumptions, but let's just use facts. They're ruling in a way that simply is favoring one group over the rest of the field, and we don't know why. No one knows why. No explanation. No nothing. So we need to have more answers, and I think that hopefully the new rules will address that.